I want to talk about how we can solve problems that involve ratios. So my made-up example here is that the ratio of trumpets to trombones in fourth hour band class is 4:3. So let me just explain what this means. This means for every 4 trumpets, there are 3 trombones. That's what that means. Now, it doesn't mean there are exactly 4 trumpets and 3 trombones. It could mean that if there were 8 trumpets, there would be 6 trombones. But that ratio, that proportion, will always be the same. And because that ratio and that proportion will always be the same, the easiest way to solve these problems involves setting up proportions and cross-multiplying. But before I do that and I set up a question, I also wanted to kind of say what else we could get out of this. We could make up a fraction that says 4/3 in that 4 trumpets on top, 3 trombones on the bottom, or let me make a trumpet trombone fraction like that, or we could say 4/7, meaning 4 trumpets out of 7 total instruments. And we got that, or I got that just by adding these two together. If 4 trumpets for every 3 trombones, that means 4 out of the 7 total instruments are trumpets. And likewise, we could make a 3/7 trombone to total fraction as well, saying, well, if there were 7 instruments, 3 of them would be trombones. So we've got a lot of ratios we could work with here. Let's set up a problem. So if there are 12 trombones in the band, how many trumpets are there? So again, I would say, well, I'm going to use this ratio that compares my trombones and trumpets. I like to do a little labeling, just like I'm going to put the trumpets on top, trombones on the bottom, just to kind of have a consistency and make myself stop and think which goes where. So my fraction was 4/3. And then I've been told that there are 12 trombones. I don't know how many trumpets. That's what I'm going to solve for. Easiest way to solve proportion problems when you have a fraction equal to a fraction is to cross multiply. So 4 times 12 is 48. Then do the other one. 3 times x is 3x. And then divide both sides by 3, and you get 16. Let's do another one. If there are 8 trumpets in the band, how many trombones are there? Again, I would urge you to just kind of look at our ratio, say, okay, we've got a trumpet to trombone ratio. So again, I like to just create a little label here, trumpet over trombone. By the way, you can absolutely do it, the trombones on top, trumpets on the bottom. That doesn't matter as long as you are consistent. So our base is 4/3, and that we know we have 8 trumpets in our band, but we don't know how many trombones we have. So let's cross multiply. 4 times x is 4x. 3 times 8 is 24. Divide both sides by 4 since we're looking for x, and there are 6 trombones. Let's do another. If there are 28 trombones and trumpets in the band, how many of each instrument are there? So let me just point out what we were given here is a total. So we're going to use one of these two that has the total. I'm going to pick just one of them, and being a trumpet player, I'm going to pick the trumpet one. Okay? My ratio of trumpets, again, I would urge you, just make a little trumpets to total. My ratio was 4 trumpets out of the 7 instruments. That is equal to, now I had 28 total instruments, X up there. I don't know, I'm going to figure out how many trumpets, and then I'll use that to figure out how many trombones. Cross multiply. 4 times 28 is 112. I had to use my calculator for that one. Equals, and then 7 times x, 7x. Divide both sides by 7 since we want to know what x is. 112 divided by 7 is 16. So there were 16 trumpets. Now, you could set up the other ratio. You could use this one right here and do a 3 over 7 equals x over 28. Or you can go back and say, well, there were 28 total instruments, 16 trumpets, 28 total minus 16 trumpets equals 12 trombones. Now, there are other ways to solve ratio problems that involve, doubling your ratio or finding a common scale or things like that. But believe me, cross multiplying is the fastest, easiest way to solve these problems. Read carefully so you know if you're talking about two things being kind of compared to one another, like trombones to trumpets, or if it's comparing to a total, like this problem where we had a total that was given to us. So we used one of these 4 trumpets out of the 7 total, 3 trombones out of the 7 total. So careful reading, and any reciprocal, instead of 4 over 3, we could have done 3 over 4 as long as we had trombones and trumpets. Make a little label so that you know which one goes where. One of them will be an X, cross multiply, and solve. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe for more math help.